Welcome back to the podcast. We're going through the 3 pieces you need for a healthy, long-term, intimate relationship. I'm going to go broad and then I'll break each piece down for you so you have actionable steps to move forward. Quick favor, if you could subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to it, that would be amazing. I appreciate that. With that being said, I'm going to rip straight into it. So step number 1, to have a long-term, healthy, intimate relationship, first piece is that you are coming from a healthy, healed, secure energy, not an insecure, hurt energy. Because some people ask, it's a variant of the question of, how healed do I need to be ready for a relationship? The thing is, you're never fully healed. There's always more triggers, there's always more limiting beliefs, there's always more layers to work on. So the box that I look to tick for myself and for clients is, are you healed enough that you're coming from a healthy energy? Because picture this, say you are feeling lonely, you're feeling insecure, and you're wanting validation, and that's your reasons for wanting to get into a relationship. What type of partner do you think you're going to attract? You're going to attract someone who does exactly that. And that does not lead to a great result in terms of dating, intimacy, and love. So make sure, if you're not there right now, that's okay. Work on yourself. Do some self-development. Do some programs. Read a book or two. Get a coach. Do some therapy. Whatever you got to do. Work on yourself till you get to a point where you love who you are. You're coming from a secure place. And you're doing it for inspiration, not desperation. That's piece number 1. With that being said, piece number 2, this is probably the biggest part that I think most people fuck up and they get wrong. So please pay attention to this. Step number 2 is making sure that you have clarity for the vision of your relationship with your non-negotiables, and your partner has done the same, and you are both aligned with your vision and non-negotiable. This sounds so obvious, but most people don't do it, because step 3, which I'll get to in a moment, you need step 2 to be able to do step 3 in a healthy way. Let's use some examples. Now, when I teach this to my clients, I recommend between 3 to 7, because the reality is some people, and I've heard some people have like 50 checklist things that someone has to have for them to be willing to date them or be willing to give them a shot. Now, if you go back to step 1, are you coming from a healthy, secure place? If you have like a 50 checkpoint thing of they need to be this tall, they have to earn this much money, they have to have these beliefs and this, I would be questioning, are you coming from a healed or hurt energy? That's why step 1 is make sure you're coming from a loving, secure energy. The number I have thrown out is 3 to 7. 3 to 7 non-negotiables for your relationship. I'll use some examples. For me, mine are growth. I personally could not date someone who is not into personal development or self-growth, because that's what I'm into. Now, if you just play that out, say one partner keeps growing, keeps evolving, keeps healing, keeps working on themselves, and the other partner doesn't, then you're going to create a massive gap between each other. There's going to be lack of intimacy, lack of connection. The person who's not growing is going to keep projecting their traumas and limiting beliefs and their shit onto their partner, and eventually it's going to break down. So that's one for me. Another one for me is family. I want to have children. Now, some people never want to have children, and some people want children. Imagine if that was the partnership you got into. Say you wanted kids, and your partner didn't want kids, or vice versa. Can you see the conflict? It's like you can't do step 3, which I haven't got to yet, if you guys aren't aligned. For me, health, I personally couldn't date someone who doesn't look after their health. I don't need to date a bodybuilder by any means, but someone who looks after their health, eats well, trains well. 4th is intimacy. Like, I really value intimacy. Like, I love cuddling. I love making love. I love connecting. I love hugging. I'm a very touchy, physical touch person. So I love intimacy. I love connection. Those are mine. Now, I think they're pretty straightforward. I think they're not too crazy. If I had 50 things I had to check off, I would be questioning, am I coming from a healthy space? So the thing that I literally had I had a in-person client, and I never do in-person clients. This was actually quite fun. I went and I met up with this beautiful couple, and we pretty much went through these steps. And I asked them, are you guys clear on the vision for your relationship, and are you aligned? And it was so funny because one of them said yes. Simultaneously, the other person said no. So you can see the conflict. So I said, well, let's pretend this. Say I told one of you to go away, and I said, tell me your vision. And then I got you to swap, and I said, the other person, tell me your vision. Would it be 95% the same? They said no. I said, great. And then I said, have you gotten that vision written down somewhere? They said, no. I said, great. So this is where you're going to have all these conflicts, because if you're not aligned, how the hell do you know where to move towards? How do you hold each other accountable? How do you support each other, which is actually step 3, to move towards where you're going if you don't know where you're going? So what I encourage you to do is actually sit down and write down, what's the vision for your relationship? What's your communication like? What's your intimacy like? Do you travel? Do you have kids? Do you look after your health? Do you have to have similar spiritual beliefs or religious beliefs? There's no right or wrong. And then I would encourage you to get clear on your top 3 to 7 non-negotiables. Now, I would encourage you to just tune into and ask yourself, is this from a healthy space? Because if you're insecure and you've got all this unhealed trauma and all these limiting beliefs, you're going to have all of these things that you're going to have to tick off. Where reality is, guys, human beings are flawed. Human beings have defaults. I have things that are, quote, downsides to me. You have downsides to you. So if you're trying to look for the perfect partner where you think perfect means only upsides, no downsides, that's an illusion. It doesn't exist. It's a fantasy. You won't find that. Human beings have things that aren't, quote, ideal. We all have upsides and downsides to each other. I always use this as like a joke because I find it funny. I never travel. I've done very little travel. I'm a hermit crab. I work from home, and I'm like, it's a Sunday right now. It's a Sunday, 3:30 p.m. the time I'm recording this on a Sunday, because I'm like, you know what I feel like doing? I feel like making a podcast. And before this, I was playing video games just to chill out. So I never really leave the house. So travel is not a high value of mine for my clients who understand values. It's not important to me. And another one is music. So I never really listen to music. I listen to podcasts. I listen to frequencies. I don't really listen to music that much besides when I train. So say hypothetically, you listening to this, you valued travel and you wanted to travel the world with your partner, and you were really musical and you wanted your partner to go to all the music festivals and go to all the bands and the concerts that you wanted to go with, and that was the vision and you wanted that to be your partner. Don't fucking date me. I would be a horrible partner for you, because I'd say, nah, I'd rather stay home. Nah, I'd rather work. Nah, I'd rather listen to a podcast than listen to that music. So it's not that I'm a bad human being. Well, we all have all sides to us, but I'm just not aligned with that person's vision. So let's wrap this up. Let's bring it back. Step 1, make sure you're coming from a healthy, secure, loving energy. Number 2, you have clarity on your vision. Your partner has clarity on their vision and your non-negotiables. I think 3 to 7 is a nice range to aim for. Make sure you're doing it from a healthy space. And then make sure you're aligned. Because if you're not aligned, you're just not the right fit for each other. And that's okay. There's billions of other humans out there that I'm sure you'll find a couple that align with you. Now, step number 3. This one gets a little bit deeper, but I'll dig into it for you. Step number 3 is to support and challenge each other to move towards the vision. Because you will get triggered more than anywhere else in life inside of your intimate relationship. Because I say this all the time about traumas and triggers and my inner work content, nothing triggers you, it reveals what's inside of you. You will attract people and circumstances to reveal where you have not healed. When you get triggered, when you get activated, when you project, a trauma of yours has been triggered, or a limiting belief of yours has been challenged. And where do you get triggered the most? Intimate relationships. This because they just see you more than anywhere else, just because of proximity, and they see more sides to you than most people, than all people. They're going to see the depths of you, so they're going to trigger those real deep, unhealed stuff within you. Fantastic. I say one of the greatest benefits of an intimate relationship is to heal, because with the right awareness and the right consciousness and the right tools in your toolkit, which I can teach you, by the way, you can heal faster than anywhere else inside of an intimate relationship. So, and the reason I say support and challenge is because we grow as human beings. Human beings grow on the borderline of support and challenge. I'll use an example. Say you had a child or a baby. Say you had a baby and you did everything for that baby, for that child. You bubble wrapped them. You were the helicopter parent. You solved all their problems. You never let them fail. You never let them make mistakes. How much strength and grit and growth would that child have? None. Because they haven't failed. They haven't made mistakes. Now let's go to the other end of the spectrum. Say you had a child and they got nothing but challenge. They were abused, they were assaulted, they received no love and support. They just got challenged. Often they break, get addicted to drugs, and they go down that pathway. You need both. You need support and you need challenge. One of the most common questions I ask myself, and I actually ask out loud to my clients and my wife and my friends and my family, is, do you need more support or challenge from me right now? That's it. Now, I'm going to zoom back out. So picture this. You've got clarity on the vision for your relationship. Let's use self-growth because obviously I'm in the self-growth industry and it's a big one for people that listen to my type of content. So say you have a vision, you both have a vision of self-growth, and say you're growing and say your partner isn't. Then you can have healthy conversations around, hey, hun, I hope you're well. I just want to have a really open, vulnerable conversation with you. I know this relationship means a lot to you and it means a lot to me as well. I'm just wanted to speak into something. I've noticed you haven't been doing any books or podcasts or any seminars. You haven't really been doing much self-growth that I've seen anyways. I'm just curious, what's going on? Is everything okay? I'd love to help you and support you or challenge you to help you grow more, to make sure that we're both growing together, because that's our vision, right? We're on the same page, right? We're going the same direction, right? Because go back to step 2. Imagine if the person you're dating didn't want to grow and you're trying to force them to grow. And I see this all the time. Heaps of my clients is like, my partner's just not taking ownership. They're not working on themselves. They're not healing. I'm like, okay, well, did you actually have you had the conversation about the vision for your relationship? And did they say that they want to grow? Because some people don't want to grow, and that's okay. It's like, I'm not here to force people to do things they don't want to do. If you're ready to heal, if you're ready to find your purpose, if you're ready to become the best version of you, come hang out with me, come do some work with me. But I'm not here to tell someone to do something they don't want to do. So that's why step 2 is so important, which so many people miss out on. So step 3, to wrap it up, is support and challenge each other to grow. So that means challenge each other when you need a bit of accountability, a bit more firmness, and then love each other. Like there's been times, many times, where I've had some shame and some things come up within me, and I've literally cried my eyes out to my wife, and she just held a healthy space for me to help me feel seen and to me to heal through and work through my stuff with like snot and all the fun emotions that come up. And then sometimes she calls me out on my shit. Said, babe, you said you're going to do this. Step up. She's done that. She's done both to me and I've done both to her. We support and challenge each other because that's the beauty of an intimate relationship. Now, I wanted to give you a bonus tip because this really ties into this point. So let's go 3.1 in terms of the pieces, is learn how to navigate your triggers in a healthy way. Because that is one of my favorite conversations, is navigating trauma and triggers in a relationship. Because as I mentioned, you're going to trigger each other more than anywhere else inside of your intimate relationships. So my recommendations is do some inner work with a coach, work with the therapist, work with a counselor, whatever you want to do your work, and learn how to identify your triggers. Because in your relationships, and in life, by the way, but especially in relationships, when you get triggered, please understand it is something within you that's been revealed. Disclaimer, there's a difference between a trigger and a boundary. Because I always say, use this example, I'm in my office right now filming this podcast. I tell my wife, a boundary for me is when I'm in my office and the door is closed, don't come in. Now, say it's an emergency, one of the dogs is sick or something like catastrophic's happened, of course, I'm okay with that. But say she barged into my office right now, say I got triggered and activated and said, get the fuck out of here, and I snapped at her, that's a trigger. That's my stuff. However, she still did overstep a boundary. Because why couldn't I have just said, hey, babe, is everything okay? Yep, all good. Look, I'm busy right now. Come back later. I'll talk to you afterwards. See how the second time I address that in a healthy response, because that's a boundary. Triggers is your shit. It's your trauma. It's your limiting beliefs. It's all of those things. Boundaries are the agreements that you guys have based on the vision and non-negotiable you guys have discussed. But most people haven't discussed that, so it's hard to hold each other accountable. That's why that's so important. So to summarize, the 3.1 point is learn how to do inner work. If you want to do that, you can work with me. I'd love to help you with that. Let's summarize that. Step number 1, make sure you are coming from a healthy, healed, secure space. So work on yourself, do some self-development, do the inner work, do some growth, work with me if you want to get to that point where you're coming from a healthy space. Now, if you're in a relationship already and you feel like you're not even at that level, you don't have to break up with them to then get to that point. You just start doing that work now so you can get to that point sooner rather than later. Then step 2, get really clear on the vision for your relationship. Grab a pen, grab some paper, and just write down, what does my dream relationship look like? And just write, just brain dump, get it all on paper. Then look for your top 3 to 7 non-negotiables. Make sure they're fair and reasonable. No one's perfect with only upsides and downsides. Everyone's got downsides. And then number 3, learn how to support and challenge each other to move towards that vision. That involves loving and holding space and being soft sometimes. Sometimes it's about accountability and a bit more challenge. Learn how to navigate your triggers, because that's where you're going to heal and grow the most inside of an intimate relationship. And that's all I got for you. I hope you got some value. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Leave some comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And if you're interested in working with me, all the details are down below. I've got a book on Amazon. I'm running live events in 2025. I'd love to see you at a live event. I've got a conscious community. I've got a free 7-day trial, and the 7-day trial comes with a one-on-one call with me, not my team, with me personally. So that's down below. I love you guys. Share this podcast with a friend. Have a great day. I'll speak to you soon.